moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. You're bringing us here live in Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, my name is Duane, your favorite youth host, and yes, we're back here again, smack center in the middle of the week to bring you that youthful vibe, that youthful vigor, and youthful perspective on matters pertinent to Tobago and by extension the country and the wider world. Again, my name is Duane and I am joined with
Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning to our viewers on Facebook, YouTube, and 102 on AMPLIA. Thank you for joining us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. Dwayne, what is going on in this space this morning?
I have not been quite acquainted with it in terms of what is happening in this space. However, I know that we are just on the cusp of the carnival season, and I'm certain that you're going to see and hear a lot of activities surrounding stands, surrounding mass and soca music, which is all well and good, so I do anticipate that, and in the Tobago space, I'm aware or I'm advised that this is indeed the opening of the cruise ship season. And we should be expected to see a lot of visitors on the island. So I do hope that Tobagonians will become more hospitable and more friendly, just to show and give the culture that is hospitable in Tobago.
I think a lot of Tobagonians, especially taxi drivers, they're looking forward to it, because I came down in a taxi yesterday and the woman, she was elated. She was saying, yo, we have a cruise ship coming in tomorrow. They're very ready to, take the visitors around the island, very ready to show them what all Little Tobago has to offer. And I wish them all the best in doing so, and I hope that all the tourists that come to the South Shores enjoy their time here.
Alright guys, we could banter all morning, but however, we have news for you in 90 seconds with Miss Natalie Nances.
Here is your news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, 22nd January 2025. Chairman of the Tobago Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Curtis Williams, insists the promise of a new cargo vessel must not be overshadowed by election year distractions. The vessel, crucial for Tobago's commerce, was promised after a fire on the Cabo Star in 2023 caused severe shortages and $5 million in losses. Despite delays, the vessel is expected by June 2026, accommodating 240 truckers. We apologize for those technical difficulties. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, 22nd January 2025. Chairman of the Tobago Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Curtis Williams, insists the promise of a new cargo vessel must not be overshadowed by election year distractions. The vessel, crucial for Tobago's commerce, was promised after a fire on the Cabo Star in 2023 caused severe shortages and $5 million in losses. Despite delays, the vessel is expected by June 2026, accommodating 240 truckers and featuring passenger amenities. Williams urges authorities to fulfill commitments, with plans to meet the Port Authority for updates. NEDCO has yet to provide procurement progress. A 17-year-old appeared before the Children's Court charged with the murder of 15-year-old Berish Joseph. Tobago's first 2025 murder victim. The teen was charged based on advice from the DPP's office. Joseph's body was found in Mount Hay on January 4th with multiple gunshot wounds to the head and neck. Senior Superintendent Earl Eli linked the incident to gang exploitation of vulnerable teenagers as young as 12. Joseph was a former Form 4 student at Signal Hill Secondary School. Now to some regional news. With Donald Trump reinstated on January 20th as United States President, signed an executive order suspending foreign assistance and the U.S. refugee admissions program for 90 days. The suspension impacts thousands of refugees, including hundreds in Trinidad and Tobago, primarily Venezuelans, Cubans, and Haitians. The program, reactivated under Joe Biden, facilitated safer resettlement with the UNHCR and IOM support. Refugees stranded after travel cancellations face uncertainty. Trump justified the suspension, citing resource strain. Refugee groups await further details, leaving affected families in limbo. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Alright, thank you, listeners. Nancy's for news in 90 seconds. Guys, it's quite a lot here happening in the space and the global space. We saw of course, as you mentioned in the news, the reinstating of the newly elected president, Donald Trump, and a lot coming out from in terms of his delivery, in terms of promises made on the campaign trail there in the United States. We do look forward to see how these developments affect the wider world, and especially for those who endeavor to travel and have relational ties and bilateral agreements with the United States, going forward. I don't know what are your thoughts, Miss Nancy. I know politics is not quite your forte, but I know you could share a little comment on that.
I think to your comments about politics not being my forte, that is by choice, just putting that in there. But of course, we look forward to seeing what President Donald Trump has to offer and bring to the table. He has started a lot of what to say?
Executive orders.
Yes, executive orders that have people on the good side and bad side of him, I should say. Especially that gender thing that he did, where he declared there is only male and female genders. Now, a lot of people may be happy and a lot of people may be sad, depending on
which side of the spectrum people sit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, as I said, we have to look forward to what else he has to bring to the table. I mean, there was also the banning of TikTok. There was this big uproar about it. But I heard that TikTok users now have the
full access back. And they're going forward in grace, I should say, right? So again, we're looking forward to see what Mr. President Donald Trump has to offer to us. All right, I think I want to switch it up this morning just a little bit, guys. I think we should leave the best for last, which are the birthdays, greetings, and I want to go over to the rundown. This morning we have a very interesting rundown for you. We have joining us this morning to talk about crime, SOE, Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago, criminality and everything. No stranger to us, Mr. William Ness, who is former ACP, Assistant Commissioner of Police here in Tobago, and attorney at law, here to discuss with us those matters pertinent to that discussion. And guys, I just hope that you guys tune in to lend to that discourse, just for some enlightenment and a youthful perspective on the matter. So, Miss Nancy,
yes,
we're going to go straight over to our birthday.
Yes, we are.
Right. This morning, our sole birthday greeting goes out to Miss Sherman McKenzie. A happy birthday goes out to you from the Tobago Updates family, and we want to wish you God's blessing and a prosperous day. I hope that you have enough cake, enough ice cream, and be showered with gifts. If not, just be grateful that the gift of life was given to you this morning.
Yes.
And we want to wish you all the best this morning. And for those of you who unfortunately did not make it on our birthday greetings but is celebrating their birthday today and tomorrow, we want to wish you a happy birthday in the wrapping up of the month of January. Sorry, I'm skipping the months already. All right, so guys, just remember we have up next Mr. William Ness, and remember, to share the live, share the live.
We'll be right back.
Best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. There has been a lot of discussions about crime, the SOE, and how it has been affecting our island here in Tobago, from since 2024. This morning we have none other than Mr. William Ness to bring much discussion to the matter of crime. And and joining me this morning also in asking those pertinent questions is Miss Natalia Nancis. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Ness.
Good morning. Good morning to you and good morning to your viewership.
All right. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm fine, and it's a pleasure to be with you, the young people, on this program.
All right. How has retirement been treating you, man?
Well, I have one regret. I didn't retire before the time I did.
Oh, that's quite unfortunate, Mr. Ness. So the first question is, Mr. Ness, how would you describe the current crime situation here in Trinidad and Tobago, specifically in Tobago?
Well, to put it in context, we have to go back. We have had 2 years of devastating crime records. We have 2 years of heightened murders. And that was something out of the records. Now, the SOE has brought some level of sanity and soberness, and it is my hope that both the society and the police can use the SOE to good effect.
All right, so pleasure to be joining the two nursemen here this morning. All right, so what factors do you believe have contributed to the recent uptick in crime on the island?
Well, Tobago crime situation is multifaceted. I said that before. Now, there is an aspect of the Tobago crime situation that nobody took note of. There are a number of Tobagonians who went to Trinidad many years ago, and their grandchildren are now, or their children are now coming home to claim the lands of their foreparents. There are children in Trinidad whose children are brought back to Tobago to escape the ravage of crime in Trinidad. There has been a lowering of training in the home. There are three most important institutions in the life of a Tobagonian: the home, the school, and the church. And I hear people blame the school, I hear people blame the church, but generally it's a combination of all that will lend to the upbringing of a good child.
All right. From your perspective, what role does unemployment play in the uptick in crime? Because while you would be hearing a lot of perspectives on the matter, one that stood out most prominent to me was the comment about, well, the young people and them do have nothing to do. Right, so much so that the Honorable Chief Secretary had to intervene and say, well, a lot of the young people who are engaging in these criminal activities are in fact employed. So unemployment has no correlation to what is currently happening as it pertains to criminality. So what are your perspective on that?
Well, I have an appreciation for criminology. I studied it in my final year law, and I also taught criminology for the open campus of the University of the West Indies. There was a study done in France to see whether or not poverty relates to crime. And what they have found is that no, the poverty has nothing to do with crime. Dr. Morgan Jobe used himself as an example, and I like his analogy. He said, and in his own way, he said, if poverty was related to crime, I would have been the biggest criminal, because I had to get up in the morning and go to Tokoro to fetch the milk so that we can have tea to go to school. And I can say likewise. Now, I am a product of a single parent. My father died when I was 12. So I cannot entertain that. Unemployment and crime. Who is unemployed? That's the point. Those people who are unemployed, in what capacity, if employment exists, can they fill? What capacity can they be employed in? So what young people have to do is to use their time wisely. There are more school places than students to fill them in Tobago. You have the Roxborough Trade Center. Employment in Tobago is washing the street. People. The question is, what do you want? What can you get? And how can they employ you?
Okay, and in terms of now the senior superintendent, Mr. Earl Eli, would have mentioned that Barish Joseph, well, he was young. He was in high school, and you said that young people need to make more time. Well, they need to do better things with their time, right? Barris was in school. He was a Form 4 student. So what about the children who are doing things but are still being involved in crime? What do you think is the influence to drive them toward criminal activities or gang activities on a whole?
People who engage in crime are selfish. They don't care about their neighbors. And if we engage, there's a case, Donahue and Stevenson. And in that case, I think it was Lord Atkins who laid down the neighborly principle. We owe our neighbor a duty of care not to do them harm. How similar is that to the Bible? Who is your neighbor? Love your neighbor as yourself. So when you commit a crime, it is because you've broken that principle. You don't care. I will rob you and take what you have. I don't care if that money is to buy food to feed your children. Now, this is where the church comes in. Now, there are children who were born, and the only time they went to a church is when they were christened. They never went back. They have never read the Bible. The question is whether parents take time to point their children in the right direction, and parents have to take some level of responsibility for it.
So we have been hearing, about this space that, well, the Tobago situation about crime is solely gang related, and we also heard that those gangs are coming from Trinidad, right? How significant, is the impact of organized crime, especially as it relates to gang-related activities here in Trinidad and Tobago, and especially whilst we are discussing Tobago.
All right. What the gangs have done is to mirror the police service. The police service now has 10 divisions. And the gangs have mirrored the police service in terms of placement of people within their structure. So they have structured it Eastern, Northern, Tobago, and so on. And that is what the police need to look at. The first time I learned that, I was at the Homicide Bureau of Investigation, and there was a murder in Sangre Grande. A nurse was murdered, and I went up to Sangre Grande to assist the investigation team. And what we did coming out of that, we learned that whichever gang there was had an Eastern division, and that is what is happening. Now, I want to sound a warning to people who own Airbnb and accommodation network and booking online. When you book online, for God in heaven's sake, if you don't want to destroy Tobago, take information from the people in terms of their identity who are booking. Be careful. You may be breeding a criminal network. You may be harboring a criminal network that will destroy your society.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that, well, police officers need to learn how the gangs are now spreading themselves out. They now have this structural way of doing their criminal activities. So my question to you is the police in Tobago, specifically on our island, of course, because I know we have policing done on both islands for gang activities, but specifically to Tobago, do you think that they are adequately equipped and, you know, in terms of their resources and training to address the rising crime rates in Tobago?
The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And I can say with fear of no contradiction that Mr. Eli is among the best that we can have as senior superintendent Tobago. His background generally is intelligence. So Tobago in that respect is in safe hands. And I will not go further into the intelligence apparatus because we don't want to reveal anything. But Mr. Eli, who is the leader of the pack, suffice it to say that the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And if you look at the achievements coming out in the recent past, what the police have achieved under his watch can only be described as phenomenal. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate him and his team on a job well done, along with the assistant commissioner.
All right. I want to stir the pot a bit, Mr. Nurse, by asking you to, if you're willing, of course. I saw on your commentary on your Facebook page, that you made mention, you gave commentary to the current crime situation and its leadership, right? Namely, you I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that the leadership of the police service needs much attention in order to I'm just paraphrasing, to ensure that, you know, the delivery of the police service on both in the country is at its best. So you care to comment if you wish?
Yes, and I would want to comment, and whichever government is in power have a responsibility to internationalize the focus of their police officer. You cannot do, no. Martin Luther King said some time ago, he said, man through his scientific genius has been able to dwarf distances and place time in chain. He has been able to carve highways through the stratosphere, and his jet plane has compressed into minutes distances that once took days. In other words, he's saying the world is smaller by technology. You cannot have a police officer appointed to especially the rank of commissioner, who does not have an international focus, who understands crime only from the concept of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I have also said in that very post that A&R Robinson must have been the greatest leader we have ever had. And I make no apologies for that. When Robinson took office in 1986, he selected a cadre of officers and sent them abroad to command colleges. In that was Mr. Guy, Mr. Snaggs, Mr. Paul was the last who demitted office on the 4th of July 2008. Reluctantly demitted office. Since that, we have been struggling. Why are we struggling? Because we are not preparing people for office. We are preparing office for people. So I have said this already. I've said this to Minister Hines. I've said this to Commissioner Jacob. I've said it to Commissioner Christopher. You have to look down the line. Select your bright police officers. Send them abroad. Or develop your police training academy to deliver international training at that level for your police officers. And I mean that.
Thank you very much for that. Quite passionate, Mr. Ness.
In terms of it's tourist season.
Yes.
Yes, and they said that the boats are soon coming in. With Tobago's tourism-dependent economy, what do you think is the effects of the rise in crime on this economy?
Well, it will destroy Tobago. You know what I'm saying? Unless we have an aggressive push to have the criminal retreat and have crime brought under control, Tobago can be in some trouble. And I think they have the right leadership. It's not about talk. Old talk, nah. Performance, that is what you need. And I am talking about performance at all levels of the police service, from the constable right up to the assistant commissioner. You know, sometimes sometimes ago I said, the assistant commissioner is the leader. He is the facilitator, and so on, right? But so if that is borne in mind, another aspect of Tobago that needs to be looked at is the environmental crime. The enforcement of environmental laws contribute directly to Tobago's economic health. We have descended to a place where it is so depressing, especially in our back streets. All vehicles litter the streets, and it is beginning to come forward to the main thoroughfares, and we have to deal with that.
And I agree with you, Mr. Nuss, because I shared this experience on this platform already. In that I think it was last year, when I was going home on this stand, I experienced a man. He was slightly intoxicated. Just threw a bottle and paper and the bin was right there, and I told him to take it up, and he reluctant. He didn't take it up at all. In fact, he jumped in a vehicle and went home. Before he could do that, I pick up my phone and I call the Scarborough police station. Right? The response from the police was, "But we have people patrolling already, so we don't know if we could deal with that right now." And I did a bit of sociology in A levels, and we discussed how deviant behavior can escalate to crime. Right? Do you see any correlation to that instance and the theory on crime just mentioned happening in Tobago? Do you think that deviant behavior, not just about littering and so on, but allowed to manifest into crime? And how do we deal with that, so that it does not redound to what we are seeing now?
Well, the learning is in the public domain, Robinson told this nation, bad habits are accumulated by slow degrees like streams into rivers and rivers into seas. When children get up from the bed on mornings and parents don't give them any chore to do, what happens? when the young ladies are taught to focus on their hair, their nails, and so on, and they wouldn't sweep the yard, they wouldn't tend the flowers, what happened? So we give them all the things they need. They have their phone. So we are beginning from home to reward mediocrity. You know, I mean, I remember I used to tell my children, if you want a phone, you have to earn it, you know. You have to earn it. And if you want money to spend in school, you have to earn it. So parents have to ensure that their children are not being rewarded for things they did not do. And I'm serious, and that's why it started.
I agree. Before you ask your question, Miss Nancy, are they hinting that we should go on a break?
I think they are.
They are?
Yes, it's 7:34 in the AM, and I think we can give our viewers a short break. But before we go, we encourage our viewers to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorns Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorns Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates, here live from Portmore in Scarborough. Now, we started with a very strong conversation on the presence of crime on our island and in our country on a whole. We are joined with Mr. Williams. He is the retired ACP, not looking so much, but a retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and Attorney at Law. So we welcome Mr. Nurse back. And of course, I'm joined with your favorite youth host, as he says on mornings, Mr. Dwayne Nurse.
Guys, I think it would be remiss of us if we don't share with you that the lines are indeed open for your calls and your questions to Mr. Nurse surrounding the issue of crime, the SOE, etc. The number is on the screen. Is 284-6597, 284-6597. So Mr. Nurse, we left on a pretty high note, and my last question to you surrounding this first part of the segment is, do you believe that there's adequate political will in ensuring crime is fought at its highest level? And I'm saying this in relation to how can the central government and the THA partner in ensuring that they bring the best results to the country in terms of fighting crime?
Yes, there has to be a partnership, because the management and the responsibility for investigating crime is a national security issue. A national security issue falls within the 6th schedule of the Tobago House of Assembly Act, right? And therefore the Assembly generally does not have that responsibility. But what I can say, and I can say this with fear of no contradiction, is that the Tobago House of Assembly has wet its feet, has put its hands and put its shoulders to the wheel to assist in a very big way in the fight against crime in Tobago. Don't ask me, I'm not prepared to go beyond that, because I don't want to. I mean, that's a national security issue. But there must be correlation, there must be relationship between the central government and the THA. Because now the THA can clearly be described, and rightly so, to be the island government of Tobago. And any government, whether island or central or whatever you call it, one of its first responsibility is to deliver some level of safety and security to its citizens. And the Tobago House of Assembly should have a share in that. Yeah.
Okay, so we have acknowledged that there is a crime situation on both of our islands. And there has been a recently implemented state of emergency set by the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. Right, so in terms of its implementation, do you think it was well implemented? Was it timely? Was it a necessary measure to address the crime situation here in our country?
Well, from a statistical point of view, certainly it has. It has worked. At this time last year, Tobago had 2 murders. At this year, Tobago has 1. And you know, one of the good things is that the 1 murder has been solved. So Tobago has now a 100% solve rate at this time for murders. what we can do, what this SOE is different to others, there is no curfew.
Yes.
So people are allowed. The specific target of the SOE are those persons who have been using their time to prey on people and commit crime. So if you're a good citizen, fine. For the first time, the good citizens aren't locked down in their homes. You are allowed to roam. You are allowed to go about your business. But the security forces are allowed to go after those persons who commit crime. I just have one warning. To the community, use this time to do introspection and reflection. And to the police and other security forces, use the time, this time specifically for the purpose given, and you will see we would have coming out of it. We will all be happier and better for it.
But my question is from a legal perspective, Mr. Ness. You are an attorney at law, right? And no, we're not going to. Well, yes. Do you think that the implementation of the SOE aligns with the constitutional guidelines? Because we've been hearing a lot of brouhaha about, it's not constitutional, or the Prime Minister is just using it as a tool to for political reasons and political mileage. What are your comments on this in terms of its legality in the country?
Well, the SOE and its implementation is embedded in the Constitution, I think Section 8 of the Constitution. And more importantly, there are too many people in our society who speak with two faces and have two mouths. On the one hand, some people have been calling for the SOE. Now that the SOE has come, they are talking against it. They're moving heaven and earth. But you know something? On the issue of crime, you don't politicize crime. If the government has done something well and well thought out, for God in heaven's sake, say so. This SOE, I must say, was well thought out.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you think would be the benefits of the SOE to the people of Trinidad and Tobago? I see a smile on your face.
That's a lovely question. Now, when you see children, again, start playing in your street and so on, although it's not safe, when you see children, when you see people going about their business and feeling happier, I want to ask the nation one question. One favor. Look back at what obtained before the SOE. Consider what obtains in the SOE and ask yourself this question. Am I better off now with the SOE? And the other one is, do I want to go back to the pre-SOE? As a matter of fact, the country was like an abattoir, slaughtering left, right, and center. And nobody wants to do that. Now, it is a time now when we must reflect and reset. The police service and the armed forces must reset. The homes can use this time to reset and see how we can strengthen the resolve to ensure that our children become better citizens. We want to see, especially our male in Tobago, more of our male remaining in school and gravitating towards learning. And note well, I said learning, not education. Learning. Whatever you set your hands to do, we need the carpenters, we need the joiners, we need the engineers, we need all of them. And I say this, if you can't be the pine on the top of the hill, be the scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub on the side of the rail. If you can't be a highway, be a trail. If you can't be a tree, be a branch. Because it is not by sign that we win or fail, but be the best that you are.
Okay. All right. So now there's some talk in the air that the SOE only targets the low-level offenders and it doesn't target the organized crime. What are your views on this?
I disagree.
Okay. And why do you disagree on this?
Now, people have to understand, organized crime requires a lot more work than, the other crime where, somebody, there's a victim who is alive and who will report. If you let us take corruption. It is one of the hardest things to investigate in Trinidad and Tobago. I have been in charge of anti-corruption, and I can tell you, the keepers of the record, the public servants who hold the records that you need to put these people before the court, they are not coming forward and help you. And I tell you, public servants are the highest level. I will say no more on that. So they hold the records. You need those records, and records can't speak for themselves. So the holder of the record must assist. They're not coming. They're not helping the police. Many people who jumping up and waving flag all over the place would have been in jail long time. It's like a cancer eating the society. And I'm not telling you about the little man on the street, I'm telling you about people who are being paid big pay to do work for you.
And you mentioned the anti-corruption unit. What are some of the things that you think they should do to address the corruption in Trinidad and Tobago? Or some things that they should do more of?
Well, they're doing what they have to do, Let me give you an example. I went to a certain office to get a document. And the holder of the document was so angry, she kept me waiting for 3 hours. So when I got to her, she said, "But I thought you was coming alone." I said, "I don't go alone, I go with my team." "So what you bring them for?" I'm not interested. Listen, I'm a Tobagonian. I was a Tobagonian. I'm a Tobagonian. Okay. Everywhere I've gone in this life, I've carried my Tobagonianness. I said, "This is my team." And she said, "Well, look, the thing there, you could take them." I said, "Wait, let me a box there." I said, "I'll take them if I come in with a warrant." The question was, "Would you come here and execute a warrant?" I said, "Read my lips. Read my lips." Police are suffering at the hands of top public servants in their investigation. It's heaven and hell to get it.
Wow, quite a mouthful there, guys.
Yeah.
The block is hot, guys. The block is hot. Guys, I don't want you guys to be shy. You could call the number on the screen again at 284-6597, 284-6597, and feed your questions to Mr. Nurse, relative to the issue. Any question at all that might be relevant to what we're discussing here this morning. Mr. Nurse, you kind of shook us up there with that response. I don't know if we could ask any more questions. We might be fear for our lives.
No, I think what we could throw in here, he gave the perspective of a police going into, or an investigation ongoing from the police's side of things. Now, from the public servant side, or simply just the civilian, how would my apologies. How would the SOE be curbed so that civilians and public servants won't be taken advantage of? Because a lot of people are saying, this is the time where they'll come out and bully us on the road, and you see new groups forming and these type of things just to keep people abreast, to avoid these type of things. How would you all curb the SOE, or how should they? Because you are retired. How should they curb the SOE so that citizens are not taken advantage of on the streets? Yeah.
Well, generally, citizens ought never to be taken advantage of by the police. Whether SOE or the absence thereof, there should never be. The police work. Let us picture a nurse in the hospital. A sick person went to the hospital. What does the nurse do? They lovingly do your signs, and then you go in to see the doctor and so on. That's what the police do. Picture this. Somebody makes a report to a police officer. The police officer doesn't even know the person. And you dutifully take up that report and begin to investigate it. and you investigate it to its entirety. In other words, the police officers ought rightly to see themselves as servants of the people. Nice.
So we do have a caller. We want to take the caller. Good morning, caller, and welcome. Good morning and welcome. I'm hoping that we can, curb the volume so that we could hear the caller clearly.
Hello?
Yes, good morning. Go ahead, caller. We're hearing you.
Right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Two quick questions for your host, please. The strength, the manpower resources of the Tobago division, do you think it's adequate at this point in time? And secondly, do you see that there is a need for the introduction of the municipal type police, or that structure or layer of police on the island? I'm listening off here. Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you very much. So the question is question about the manpower on the island. Do you think it's adequate? And the second question coming from the caller was, do you see the need for a municipal type police arrangement here on the island to deal with crime on the island? Your thoughts, Mr. Nus?
The Commissioner of Police, quite a while back, did a study and they decided what the manpower in terms of police in Tobago should be. I don't know what it is now, but there has been a shortfall of that figure. In 1987, Jim Rodriguez took the position that Tobago was over-policed, and he transferred a number of police officers from Tobago. I was among that. So I don't know what it is now, but my information is that it isn't where it should be. Whether or not there should be the municipal police as exist in the other municipal corporations in Trinidad, that's really a political issue. And I would say this: those persons who enacted the Tobago House of Assembly Act left Tobago out of and did not allow them to have, like the Port of Spain Corporation, the other corporations. And so they left them to the mercy of the Public Service Commission. And it is anemic. It has not worked. They appoint one or two people when they feel like. So there is really no structure. I know that the THA is reposed of information that will change that can change. That is as much as I want to say on that. Yes, there is need for, to answer the caller directly, yes, there is need for the municipal type policing in Tobago.
And what do you think would it do differently to what is being currently done, one, and two? Do you see the need to incentivize the police a little bit more so that you can have a lot more persons applying if the issue is young persons coming or seeing being a police as something laudable?
Well, I'll deal with two aspects of that question. Number one, the Police Service Act is a worthless piece of legislation. Number one, it's discriminatory in all its form. And why did I say that? All the other entity within the national security apparatus, when you join those entities, the fire, the police, the fire, the Coast Guard, the army, the prisons, you receive the pay of the lowest joint constable. That's the first thing. When a police officer becomes a trainee, he gets a stipend. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when an ambitious person joins these entities, they join to aspire. And there is no guarantee
for upward mobility
beyond the rank of assistant commissioner. So what would make the difference is that anybody who holds a master's, and so we don't get the best people at the top.
Right.
Yeah. What was the other question?
The other question is, what would the municipal police apparatus do differently than now what is currently happening on the island with Tobago?
Right. The municipal police, when I say municipal, they are all they are all under the Supplemental Police Act. Right? They take charge of the estate of the Tobago House of Assembly, all the buildings of the THA. Do you know that the THA spent in the last 10 years over $1 billion in security, in private security? Over $1 billion in private security. Just imagine what that can do for citizens, offering them much better jobs, security of tenure, better standard of living, and so on. So prepare the young people, have the Tobago House of Assembly police, and you put them into jobs that you have security of tenure, they have decent lives, they perform, and there's upward mobility.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, guys, this brings us to the end of our interview this morning. Yes, our hour does fly by when you're making sense and when you're speaking about pertinent issues, relevant issues about Tobago. Guys,
Dwayne, yes, we're in a rush. We're not really in a rush, but it is time for us to go. But before we do go, I just want to ask Mr. Nurse one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
In terms of the civilian preparedness, the police can't do so much. But what can we do as civilians to safeguard ourselves? Because we see that, based on some of the comments that were made, we're seeing that the police is not enough widespread, is not done, if so to speak. So what can we as citizens do to safeguard ourselves?
A number of things. Your security begins with you. Bring your intelligence to bear on what you do and say. And if you do have any intelligence, you go do stupidness. Frankly, you see people walking in the street and they're texting and going. They don't even know where they're going. You understand what I'm saying? Let us reset. Help the poor. Help the old people. Help the young children. Don't rob them. Don't advantage them. And this is a whole new conversation in your startup day. So we don't have time for it this morning. But I promise if you call me back, I will.
Of course we will call you back, Mr. Ness. I want to thank you again for joining us this morning. I do hope that you continue in your stead in terms of contributing to the crime fighting on the island and in the country. You are definitely a mover and shaker. So thank you again for joining with us here this morning on Youth Wednesdays. Miss Nancy, I want you to join me and tell them to
share the live, share the live, share the live. Good morning, Tobago is up next. That's GMT with Miss Chanel Felix. Stay tuned.
we're thrilled to announce the Tobago Agri-Tech Innovation Summit 2024. This transformative event taking place from December 2nd to 3rd at the Shore Park Complex will focus on the theme Climate Change, Resilience and Adaptation in Agriculture. As the first of its kind on the island, the summit aims to position Tobago as a leader in agricultural innovation, addressing climate change challenges and showcasing agri-tech solutions that will shape how we grow our food, manage resources, and ensure our sustainable future.
The Tobago Agri-Tech Innovation Summit is about more than introducing technology. It is about creating a mindset shift. We want our farmers to not just survive, but to flourish in a modern, tech-enabled agricultural landscape. This event will provide practical training and workshops for farmers on digital farm management, precision agriculture, and innovative practices.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
A good Friday morning to you. This is another episode of Auto Correct. This is where we sit and we take the time to actually correct misconceptions in the space, to actually treat with questions, burning questions that you may have. And on Monday, when we had our Auto Focus episode, we started a series where we invite others to the podcast, because I really and truly want to share the opinions of others, which may or may not align with my opinion or the policy of the government. But the beauty about democracy is that we all should have a say in this matter of Tobago's self-government. And so this morning, I have AMPLIA Chong with me. AMPLIA Chong, a young lady from Plymouth, I believe. And in 2023, AMPLIA graduated from St. Francois College out of New York and was awarded for the best thesis in global politics. Guess what was the title of her thesis? Her title was Examining the Economic and Political Obstacles to Tobago's Self-Government. And I felt that absolutely brilliant. I don't know many young people who have pursued the issue of Tobago autonomy in their academic studies as you have. And so tell us about that, AMPLIA. Tell us what motivated that, why Tobago self-government, why you're so interested in it to the extent that you made it the focus of your academic work, and that you were able to achieve an honors thesis in that regard.
Okay, well, fun fact, actually, I became interested in the topic from seeing your Facebook post about the topic, because prior to that, I was not aware that it was something being pursued. So I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw your post, and I was like, wow, that's actually amazing. That I didn't know that was happening right in my own space. So from that, I wanted to learn more about it, learn more about the history, learn more about what it has to offer for Tobago and those kinds of stuff. So when we were doing the research for our thesis topics, I did not. Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago, right here, coming to you live from the Port Mall on Tobago Updates. Now, viewers, it's so good to see you. It's so good to have you. For those of you who are new to the Updates family, new to the Tobago space, you don't know me from a place. My name is Luke James Shrim, and I'm proud to be your host for this morning as we continue the Beneath the Surface series. And yes, viewers, I am also joined by my co-host, Ms. Chanel Felix. Chanel, good morning. How are you doing?
I am doing fine this morning. Well, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while we ask those questions that you want asked. But this morning we continue with our Beneath the Surface series, and as we continue this morning, we have the privilege of sitting in studio with a man that is no stranger to us here at the Tobago Updates family. We have with us this morning Assemblyman Terence Baines. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Good morning to all the viewers and listeners of the program.
Well, as I indicated before, you are no stranger to the set here. You are always here. So Beneath the Surface this morning is just getting a bit more personal and understanding some of the ideas and concepts behind the projects that you have been doing and executing, both at your district level as well as at the level of your division. And starting off at your district, what has been some of the projects that you had intended to do when you got into office that you were successful at accomplishing thus far?
Well, in Bethel New Grange, as it is called now, when I got into office, when I became the area representative, it was Bethel Mount Turbin at the time. And my primary focus was the community of Bethel, which you can deem a high needs community. At the time, I had just lost a friend to gun violence, just a person being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there's these flare-ups from time to time of that type of activity in that specific region. So I thought we started with what we call interventions, and we had about 4 installations of those programs, trying to motivate our young people, trying to encourage them. In fact, the first one was a type of community meeting where I brought in a lot of the young leaders, the chief secretary, the deputy chief. They were not that at the time. And you remember that was during the 6-6 period. We had some leaders from the community and all that, just trying to motivate the young people and to give them a sense that, you know, you can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. And then we did what we call a all fours challenge on the block, because remember, we were now coming out of COVID, so you had a lot of joblessness and so on. And so we tried to do that. We tried to do some sporting activity. We tried to do some spiritual input and thing. I did some work with the church and to provide that kind of support as well. And we continue to do what we could have done in that time. As you know, what that 6-6 situation was for those of us who were not a part of the original government and so on. And then, of course, the other election came, the change of the district to now what we call Bethel New Grange, which kind of broadened the division and so on. And so our first major project was the walk-around track at the Montgomery grounds, because in my mind, you know, the different communities in the district have different needs. There are different things that are accentuated. And I felt that the walk-around track was a kind of equalizer, because everybody needs some exercise to be frank. You know, everybody could take advantage of that facility. One of the other things that was high on my list of priorities, of course, was to try and see if we could find some employment for as many of the young people as we could have. And then there was some at-risk youth, in my view, that we really tried to prioritize. And so thus far, we have been able to find employment for about 170 people for the last, well, from since we started up until now. All of them are not permanent workers, but, you know, for a substantial part of the year, at least 6 months of the year, you would have had people getting some kind of employment, and that was stretched across, whether it's URP. There were, of course, persons in the who had the qualifications that found some employment for them as well. Some at health, some at agriculture, some at the division of works, of course. So, but despite how much we do, the need has just been so great, you know, that we've just in fact, it's going on today as well, what we call the community relief program, commonly known as a 10 on 10 off program. It is so oversubscribed, but the troubling thing is that upwards of 60 to 80% is young people. You understand? Young people between the ages of 19 and 25, that kind of thing, right? And from those that I were able to talk to, a lot of them, you know, just don't have the qualifications to do, you know, so obviously that is a concern. I can't solve that problem. No, they want some kind of job, and we're trying to treat with the propensity for young people to get involved in activities that are not convenient. So obviously trying to provide some kind of employment for them has to be a priority. We don't have any major private sector in Tobago, so the government has to be the place that people will look to for employment. So we're trying to do that to the best of our ability. We can't employ everybody, but we're trying our best to do that. I think from the division standpoint, when we consider the numbers from last year and this year, we would have employed in that program 1,440 young people for the most part. We had I was able to broker a relationship with Habitat for Humanity, and they delivered to the district a greenhouse, and it is one of my greatest disappointment now, because there was some challenges with the electricity at the community center, and that impacted the greenhouse. So the greenhouse project kind of fell down. People vandalized the place and that kind of stuff. You know, that is one of the things that really is painful. And I've been having some conversations with Habitat for Humanity for them to give us an assessment and to see whether or not they will be disposed to help us to get the project restarted.
Right.
The other painful thing for me, and it was dear to my heart, because one of the first things that I was able to do is, you know, in the Susselands Park, the green space that we call the park, the residents that live east of the park, they spoke to me about how dark the place is and the security challenges that they had. One resident told me that his father got robbed in the area because of the darkness and that kind of thing. So we decided that let's see if we could get the place lighted. And I got the requisite permission from the persons that managed the park, that are responsible for the park, the society there. And we were able to go around and get people to donate one light. And so we were able to put up about eight lights around the park. Each one of those lights installed cost about $3,200. And, you know, that was a good thing. Everybody was proud of the thing. People could use the thing. And then I noticed that I find the lights looking less every time I pass, you know. And so when I stopped, I realized that somebody took down like about 4.
Was it solar lights?
Yeah. But you know, you're not thinking, honestly, I didn't think that is something that somebody will do. You understand? And in a 2-week time, somebody took down 7 of those lights and just left 1. And the only reason they left that one because that one is right in the front, and there's a TNTech pole there as well. So that's right in the public. So you will
so
see.
wasn't it cemented into the ground, the poles?
The poles were planted into the ground, yes, but I mean, remember, in case you have to do any kind of maintenance, you have to install it in a way that you could take them down. But what I'm saying is that in my mind, thinking that it is something that is so useful for the entire community. I wasn't thinking that you had to put up lights and then put up security to watch the lights. You understand what I'm saying? So I mean, that's been a painful experience, obviously, because we are back now. And I understand people will go to the park for different reasons, and there is a kind of selfishness in this society where people really think that they alone and their needs must be met. There may be some people who the activity that they engage in at the park require some dark. It have dark spots, go in the dark spot, but you can't, stress out everybody else because you have this, and we have no evidence. We blame no one because we don't know who did it. But it is just something that is very painful. That aside, we continue, as most of the community's infrastructure issues, roads and bridges and these types of things, which every community, on average, has those challenges. And we have been, thankfully, we have been able to especially the road services, to have a pretty good maintenance regime to treat with all the potholes and that kind of thing in the district, thankfully. You understand? I think the only thing that I really had on my agenda that I was not able to accomplish, I really wanted for there to be something like a Pan Academy. And with just the resource and stuff, and of course other things that became more pressing, took precedent and so on. And there are some other things which we consider normal things that area representatives do when it comes to back to school things. These things are expected. You do all that. We've been doing that since we started. When it comes to Christmas time, every area representative is expected to do some kind of Christmas party and all that. So we do all those things. But one of my signature projects is what I call the Baines Ball Bash. That is where we try to do a whole day of football and basketball and netball and that kind of thing. And last year we had an added component. Some of the guys added that kind of a food fest to it and so on, and we came together and we have this cooking competition, and then everybody got something to eat and that kind of thing. So we try to do as much as we can holistically to lift the district. You understand? And we realize that it is not, we can't attack just one area. We have to try to attack it comprehensively, and that is what we've been trying to do.
Excellent. But one of the initiatives or one of your goals, I remember distinctly, was to target the older, more vulnerable communities. Mm-hmm. How have you been able to engage the elderly within your community thus far? And what are some of your plans to do so moving forward?
Well, to be perfectly honest, the youth crisis overshadowed everything. And I mean that in the strictest of way. And the senior people in the community, their needs and what they clamor for has not been as aggressive as the young people. There were 3 young people specifically that I wanted to talk about who in a community, there are some people that appear to be more vulnerable or more prone to danger than others. And I remember from being up on the block and they talking to them and saying, they want to get off the block, they want to get. I specifically found jobs for these 3 persons, right? And thinking that, but they still end up right back on the block, right? One of them got shot 3 times after I go to the hospital, trying to talk about what it is, because a lot of young people, or you hear it being said, that the reason why young people are getting involved in nefarious activities that they have no job and that kind. But that is not altogether the case in my experience anyway, because these three persons, I mean, one of them, well, both of them actually, a young lady and a young man, were subject to gunshot wounds on the same block that they say they wanted to move from after they get the job. So they end up right back on the block. And then one of them has gone missing. We don't know. We have no evidence thus far. That is close to maybe 6 months. You understand? So I'm just using that as an example that the work is never finished. You know, our societies are impacted by a myriad of issues. And we have to try our best to be creative, be innovative, use the tools that we have and see what we could do to help. We certainly can't save everybody, but we try our best to see if we can save one life at a time.
All right, Mr. Baines. We've heard this quote that says politics has a morality of its own. And the interesting thing about you, Mr. Baines, is that you serve as both a pastor and a politician. You stand at that intersection of faith and governance, two spheres that oftentimes have differing expectations. Now, generally, critics will argue that, you know, being a pastor and being a politician, it's like trying to mix oil and water.
Yes.
And because they are trying to say at some point in time, you will have to compromise to make decisions that can clash with your moral and ethical values as a pastor. So I want you to talk to me about how do you navigate that?
Well, the first thing, I do not subscribe to that philosophy and that talk at all. I just don't. I am, in my view, morality is morality. There's a right and wrong about things, and that is how I see the world, and that's how I live my life. I often believe that that statement is used as an excuse for people to continue to behave badly, especially in politics, because you could say that about policing too. You could say it about being in any other profession, as a matter of fact, right? I think the problem really is not the professionals, it's just some of the people who have walked the corridors of power over the years. So clearly it for me it would have been virgin territory. I come from a fraternity that have vehemently been against this type of cross-pollination, so to put it, right? But I am of the view, and biblically as well, that when Jesus spoke to the disciples and said that you are the light of the world, if you just do a word study of the word world, it is actually the Greek cosmos, and you study that, you would realize that it speaks about age, it speaks about arrangement, it speaks about organization. And in your Strong's Concordance, you will see it says government as well. So what the message was, you claim now that you have these principles that are divine. These principles are of no use if they are not in some active environment to impact the environment positively. And so any sphere of life that you find yourself, you are supposed to bring to bear these principles that you claim that you have learned and impact in your life, and you bring that to bear on the profession, right? And hopefully you do it well, that it impacts the profession for good. You understand? Now, the thing about religion, all religions, whether it be full gospel or whatever, all religions have traditions. And men will nail you to the cross for traditions. You understand? And traditions are not easy to break. So every now and again, you will find a man will step out of tradition. In fact, in all vocations that happen. And if you do that, you have to be prepared to treat with the indifference of some people who may not be there yet in terms of their level of maturity and that kind of thing. You gotta deal with that. So meanwhile, you have the mission, and if you are passionate about it and you think that this is a divine call for you, you move ahead. So amidst all the difficulty, I mean, I've lost, obviously, the downside to it is that some of the relationships that you would have had prior to that go be affected because some of the people just not there yet, and you can't be upset with them. You understand? You find a way to continue to peacefully navigate your course and make sure that what you are doing is impacting the environment, because the light is not for the church. The light is not for the lighted place. This place is so bright here. I have a light on this phone. When I put on this light, it is of no impact to this lighted place. However, if current goes and I put this on, regardless of how small it is, it becomes significant. So the light is for the place that may be having some darkness. You understand? And I say light, of course, figuratively, whatever you bring, whatever goodness you bring, whatever upliftment you bring, that is light to the environment that you spend most of your time. So it is a challenge. It is a work in progress. Sometimes you think you have made some progress and then something happened and you realize the tradition is still alive and well, but you have to keep going. And hopefully the work that you do, people could testify that this man has made some kind of impact and input in the thing.
Amen, Pastor. And in your response, you would have articulated that, you come from a fraternity that didn't really promote that. So I want to go back to, your childhood. And I want you to walk us through whether or not your upbringing would have really shaped your perspective on politics, that one day you would have told yourself, you know what, Terence, when I get older, I want to get into politics.
The strange thing is that I have never had those ambitions as a child.
Okay.
Never. In fact, I was one of those children. I mean, I wasn't stupid, but I went to the government school at waste time. You understand? I realized after that I was one of those children that needed some guidance. There are some children, they're not slow, but they need somebody to guide them along a career path. No, you will appreciate. In Tobago, I don't know about other society, but in Tobago, traditionally, back in the time that we were coming up, parents paid more attention to the girls than the boys. You understand? The boys going to be out in the yard doing whatever, and the girls, the parents said, go inside and take up your book. You understand? So you will find that per capita, that we may have had more females excelling in intelligentsia. It don't mean that they were more intelligent than males, but I talk about per capita, right? I think I fell in that group that needed some direction. And so I went to school, I went to Bishop's High School and all of that, and waste time and all that kind of thing, because to me, education was not I had no goal to work towards. I didn't see what I wanted to be in this life. That's the honest truth. And it is only when I became a Christian and was exposed to some teachings about destiny and about purpose that I started to do more investigation. That I am here to make a contribution to the development of mankind. Now, there are some people that have discovered that earlier than others. There are some people that didn't need Christianity for that. You understand what I'm saying? But for me, that is how it has worked for me. And so since that time, I've been on this quest to try and discover what it is I could do to contribute. And I have several things that I do. I produce music, I write music, I perform music. You understand? When you talk about anything has to do with public speaking, as long as I am able to wrap my mind around the subject matter, I can deliver those things. That is that gift that I have. So I have been trying to optimize that. I've been trying to see how I could communicate better, and because I had a difficulty in expressing myself in public. I had a serious difficulty with that all through high school. It was a major setback, and it is, again, my exposure to the Christian fraternity at the time, and allowed to engage in being in front of people, then you kind of tell yourself that this is something that is doable. And then you begin to retool and all of that. So the issue about the transition or the annexing, let me put it that way, the annexing of politics and preaching. I was always doing some things different. Looking back at it, no, I always get myself in something that is not traditional. So I started out in radio. and not the traditional gospel programs. I just had a desire to be a morning talk show host dealing with current affairs, right? I had no point of reference, I dare say, for that in the Christian fraternity in Tobago. And I had an opportunity on one of the frequencies here, and I started doing that. I started, doing the morning program and talking about issues. That piqued my interest because you have to do research in order for you to do the program efficiently. When people call and say they need this and that, you have to go and check the thing. So as I start going into the community, checking out some of the things that people call about and talking to people, you realize, but there's a serious need in this society and so on, and maybe maybe I could contribute further to this. So that kind of got my interest peaked, but it was, I kid you not, I am fighting against tradition and values and views from a Christian perspective. This radio program that I'm doing here now, talking about current affairs, we ain't reading Bible and quoting Psalms, we're talking about people having problems with their drain, and people having social issues, and husband and wife and children. We're talking them kind of things. So there's a struggle there. But I was convinced by then that I need to make some kind of contribution, and what I was doing at the time, there was more that I could do. I felt that way. And so that is what led to my involvement. I think my first step onto the hustings was in Signal Hill in 2007, when another pastor friend of mine was running as a candidate in Tobago West. He was the predecessor. So I was real excited when the thing started, because I said, okay, we are in church always saying, we want to see righteousness. And so I tell myself, the simplest thing is to have a righteous man. You understand? So I almost thought, naive as I was, that all the so-called minds that were talking about this will galvanize their support around this man. Because remember, the church has a stake in the community, right? The church is engaged when it's political campaigning. People expect Christians to go out and vote. But when you look around the table, all the other interests are represented except church people. So I tell myself, well, this is the time that we will no longer be treated as people who come into the government to beg for this and beg for that. And that's another issue I have too, because I feel if you're making a contribution, then if you are looking for support to do more, then that should be a natural thing. But anyway, that didn't go as I expected, and it messed up some of the relationships, because I call all the pastors that be a customer and say, well, listen, this man is representing us. Let us show our support. I was not acutely in tune with the political sensitivities at the time. I tell myself that this was one of the situations where it crossed political lines, right? So whether you would for or against, this is a man who is representing us now, that will give us a seat at the table to treat with the issues that we are dealing with at church, so that we could do our work better. Because remember, it's society we deal with all the time. In the church, you can find ex-killers, ex-this, ex-that, and you can find people that, because at church, they do not become potential dangers to society as well. So we're doing our work. So the campaign went, and I was the only man standing as a churchman with him, the only man. And I say, man, this can't be. This can't be, and so on. And so my interest grew from there. And then I was asked to be a candidate in a THA election in 2000 and what was that, boy? I can't remember. But anyway, that, and it ain't easy to lose an election. I want to say to everybody, you see this perception that people have about this glamour of who's serving as area rep and them kind of thing. There's a downside to these things, right? I lost an election. As a churchman, you tell yourself, you churchman can't lose no election if God on your side. You understand what I'm saying? Right? This is the mentality, naive as I was. I lost this election by 300 and something votes. It take me about 3 years to get over that.
Wow.
You understand? Because I tell myself I know what I bring into the table is to help in my view at the time how I understood it. I mean, I am much wiser now, understanding that God have a plan for everything, and you get into positions when you are ready for those positions.
And sorry to cut you across, Mr. Baines, but we have to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So viewers, stick with us. We'll be right back. Just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 GB fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. We continue this morning with our Beneath the Surface series, However, before we continue this morning, we want to have some clarity. Now, yesterday when I spoke to Assemblyman Nigel Tate, we spoke about the MP for Tobago East and the availability of assistance being offered at the CAS building for the fisher folk to be able to register with the IOPC. Now, clarity was brought yesterday evening and her team reached out and indicated that that is not the case. However, she did make a post on Facebook indicating where persons can go to register and file their claims. Now, this post would be reposted by Tobago Update, so you would be able to see this on our Facebook pages. Right after the show, you will be able to access that. But further to that, one of the things that has continued to come up when we talk about this fisher folk issue and fisher folk being compensated, we see a constant back and forth between the central government and the THA, where the THA is saying, okay, well, the central government is responsible for compensating the fisher folk. And we saw the IOPC coming out and saying, okay, we will if you file your claims. But then you have fisher folk coming out and saying, well, the process is too tedious and some of the requirements we are unable to meet. So the question therein lies, who is truly seeking the interests of these fisher folk when they are having these types of concerns? Is it possible that any of these organizations can have workshops or even town hall meetings to meet the needs and really hear the concerns of these fisher folk? Now, we look forward to hearing more about this from all sides, whether it be from the MPs or from our assemblyman. Now, in our discussion yesterday, the MP for Tobago East, Ayanna Webster-Roy, she indicated that, again, these services are offered and she has pointed individuals in the right direction. But is it possible for us to also facilitate these persons by possibly downloading the forms for them and giving them the type of guidance that they need in order to fill these forms out? When we look at the demographic that is or that are the fisher folk, are they really able to access the information efficiently and fill out these forms effectively to get the type of compensation they need? And what type of resources would be required to simply assist them in getting this done? Now, again, as I indicated before, for clarity purposes, the CAS building will not be available to facilitate any claims by fisher folk. However, if you go to the Facebook page of the member for Tobago East, Ayanna Webster-Roy, you can see the link is placed there for persons to visit the website and apply, and we will be reposting that soon. Now we continue with this morning's discussion beneath the surface with our Assemblyman Terence Baines, and you have moved from community development to the Division of Infrastructure. And this has come with a major shift for you in terms of your focus.
Sure.
Now this has not given you a lot of time because this only happened last May, yes, I believe.
Yes.
So you have been given basically a year and a few months to make an impact down there at the division. Mm-hmm. What strategies have you implemented to make a lasting impression in such a short time?
Right. Well, I guess the first thing is my responsibility now at the division. Secretary James has given me the responsibility to oversee maintenance and communications. So one of the things that we've discovered is the skill set that is at the division, but a lot of times the work that has been done, there is a sense that there is not enough appreciation for those things. Of course, as with every division, there are some matters that require attention to optimize the work that the division does and so on. But in my mind, I felt one of the first things that I should do is to have a physical presence in the workspaces, whether it's in the office buildings or on the various sites, and also to highlight the work that was being done, highlight the workers, the skills that we have at the division and so on. Because we've come from a reference prior to us where a lot of the work done at the division were outsourced. It was contract work for the most part, and all the the division workers were doing pretty much work, just kind of giving oversight, when there were people that were trained to actually train in engineering and train in project management and these kinds of things. So my responsibility is to oversee the communications. This is one of the downside of getting older. Your retaining skills fails you at times. So that and maintenance. And I think that we've made, in terms of lifting the morale of the workers, so we are able to get more. And my mission really is to try and see what kind of relationship I could actually strike with the people actually doing the work, rather than just be like some official that just keep passing and going to the office and that kind of thing. Because it seems to me, from my own experience, that you get more out of people with that kind of interface.
Okay.
So that is a major discovery. I think Secretary James, this greatest little island that we are attempting to build require leadership of acute vision. You know, it requires leaders who understand where we're trying to go, and then come up with an architecture as to what we're going to do with the divisions that we give leadership over to be a part of the manifestation of this dream. So for that, there was a reorganizing of the division in terms of the different departments and so on. And so we put the people with the various skill sets in the particular unit, so we're able to get more. So we have an engineering unit, we have a PMO unit, we have, and make sure that we get these people to do their work, treat them with the respect that they deserve, try and provide them with all the necessary tools to get the work done. And so we are seeing tremendous results from that. The projects that you're seeing delivered around are significantly manned and executed by division workers.
Right. And one of the things that employees have raised is that although they are doing the jobs, they are slightly unaware of what the strategic direction for the division is. So how have you, or how are you in terms of that communication aspect? Having that communication with the employees
Well, that
to
is
say,
exactly right.
Here's what. This is the direction that we're going into, and we want the buy-in from you.
And that's the point I was making.
Yeah.
So because of my physical presence, right? And it's not micromanaging, but it is physical presence to give support to what is actually being done, because we have to get the work done, right? So any question that arises about matters like you're just discussing, those questions can be answered there, and if there is any clarity that is needed. And so, but I think just this approach, this PR that we're doing, where, I purposely shoot videos of the various units doing their work and talk to them and that kind of thing, to give them a sense and let the public have an appreciation for the kind of work that the people do, so that it lifts the respect that we have for them. It also serves as an impetus for us to try and provide them with all the resources that they need so that they can optimize the work that they do. And so we are seeing tremendous results from that. We're not there yet, obviously. We still have the resource challenges, but we are not sitting down and complaining and doing nothing. We are becoming as innovative as we can to try and get the work done. And I think I am satisfied that we are seeing progression. I am satisfied that we are seeing development. And I believe that when you respect people and let them understand that you appreciate what they bring to the table for us to get this job done, that you get the best out of people that way.
Right. And I remember in our previous conversation, you indicated that you had not yet visited the mechanical workshop.
Mhm.
Have you been able to chat with them and talk about
Yes, yes.
maintenance strategies?
Yes, but-
and specifically the building that they're
Yeah,
in?
well, the building is a matter. I mean, I can't ventilate that extensively as it relates to that question. But we have, I have gone to the workshop a couple of times. But we have these meetings where we meet with all the heads of the various units. So we don't have to necessarily on a regular basis go into the units all the time. So the leaders will be able to kind of update on what is taking place, and we try to address it to the best of the building issue. What I can say is it's a front burner matter, right? Some of the things that has kept back the thing is some internal issues, but that is a priority matter, and that will be addressed.
Okay.
All right, and Secretary Baines, we are on the last lap of this interview. So what can we look forward to seeing from you for the year 2025?
Yes. Well, you know, this is the 44th year anniversary of the legislature, and so we come up with this project in the government where each division is asked to bring to the fore 4 priority projects and execute those in this fiscal. At the division of infrastructure, we have the Southwest flood relief project that we have to, you know, the flooding is a perennial problem in that area. So we are the place where the engineers have done most of the work and that kind of thing. So that is a project that we have to begin to work on almost immediately. Well, of course, the community workers project that is to strengthen. There's been a depletion of the what you call, I don't like to call them gangs, but these workers that really you will notice that the place has been very, 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 very bushy as you move up and down, right? Part of the reason for that is that we just don't have bodies, right? Some of the units have been depleted significantly, and we've not been able to fill them, obviously, because resource and that kind of thing. So this temporary program is to strengthen some of those units so that we can deliver better services on the community level. So that is one of the projects as well. The Bad Rock, you know, the Bad Rock is a matter that we have to address, and that is on the list as well. We have to divert the traffic to do the work. So there is need for some works in going up the hill in the Belgrade, Zion Hill area and that kind of thing. So we've done the preliminary work, and so that project is expected to start shortly as well. And of course, the final one is the completion of the Friendship Road. The Secretary has given the commitment that road will be open just before Carnival. Right? The impasse that was afoot before we've managed to treat with that, so the work will restart and we'll get that done. So what we have to do now is to accelerate the delivery. You know, we know that there are eventualities that take place, but we have to keep our hands to the wheel, and we know that these are the things that we're working on, so we don't get distracted with it. There are some other things that has to keep going, but these are the priority matters that we are focusing on, and we have to get them done, and we will get them done. The kind of track record that we've seen in the last few months since I've been there, I mean, is a short, as you said, is a short tour of duty, but sometimes you have to hit the ground running because this is the demand of the profession.
Right. And finally, there is word on the curb that you have decided not to put yourself up for re-election.
Yes. Well, that's
However, there are
knowledge.
persons that in your district who have expressed satisfaction with your performance during your term. So how do you deal with the persons who would be extremely disappointed after having, you know, enjoyed your term in office,
you know, to be perfectly honest,
to see you
to be perfectly
return?
honest, I have not heard that. I mean, you understand, and life is.
It's been said on social media.
Yeah, life is. You hear more negatives than positives. I was in a space some time ago when the chief secretary made it public, because I had a conversation with him, that, you know, so it's public knowledge. I feel in this life, there's a time and season for everything, right? And we must not romanticize positions, right? Circumstances, life itself, things change, it is dynamic. When you are in a position, whatever gifts and abilities that you have, you use that to the best of your ability. Time may come for you to move from that position. You must be able to walk off the scene saying you have done the best that you could. I made a promise to the people of Bethel New Grange that with the gifts I have, the skills, I will represent you to the best of my ability. The best of my ability. And the same commitment to the government as well, which has not changed. But I feel like I have done what I can do and make the contribution that I could make. And there are some persons in the district that have expressed some negatives about my representation and those kinds of things. And I say to myself, listen, perhaps there is somebody else that could take it from there, because I did not think that I was the savior for Bethel New Grange. Right. You understand? I am not a career politician.
Right. And you see, sometimes as you indicated, you hear more of the negative than you actually hear the positive. Why? Because the thing is, negativity spreads
that's
faster.
True. And it sells.
Than
it sells.
Positivity,
it sells.
but there are a number of young guys.
But what I'm saying is that nobody has, in mass, in group, to come and say, listen, you know, we hear this, or because it is public knowledge, right? That, listen, we think that you have done a good job. Listen, human beings funny, you know. Human beings funny. I had an experience where when we were putting up that same greenhouse, right? There's a CPEP gang that worked there at the community center and stuff. And some of them planted some like a little garden. But at the time, the garden was pretty much, to me, YC looked like it dying. So we come now to put in a greenhouse. It will mean that you had to use we had an excavator to. So I went there, you know, and the excavator, it will have meant that our plant, a time plant was in the way. A time plant that was dying. So I didn't know that I had to go and ask the workers permission for the excavator to bypass my time plant. I'm telling you, and they started to make one sound noise and thing and every negative thing you could think about over that thing. And I said to myself, human beings are something else, and you have been doing all that you could do in the district. You understand? This project here is for the betterment and the development. The village council was able to sell the produce and those kinds of things. Unfortunately, like I said, with the electrical problem, everything went down, but it is a useful project. I'm just saying that there are sometimes people who, if they want to push a negative narrative, they will find every reason to do that. And there comes a time when you tell yourself, you know, I have done what I could do. And it is public knowledge now, as I said, that I do not intend to run again in the elections. You know, I feel like, you know, I have made a commitment to the district that I would represent them, and I will serve and give the same 100 until the term is end.
Totally understood. And I mean, nobody wants to live a life or be in a career where they feel like it is riddled with negativity.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, when you go home, you still have to face yourself, you still have to face your family.
True. I mean,
nobody wants to feel like it's just negative.
Yeah, I mean, you can't avoid it. This particular profession attracts that. I know that. It's not that I don't know that. But I sincerely feel that what I bring to the table that the shelf life of that is over.
Understood.
You understand?
Understood. And I mean, if nobody has told you, we want to tell you thank you for the job that you have done within your district, within the division, and putting yourself up for public office is no easy feat.
Indeed.
Regardless of whether you stand on the left or you stand on the right, any person that puts themselves up for representation is literally sacrificing their self.
Indeed.
You know, to represent
family.
and to represent.
Yes.
So, I mean, regardless of what, the appreciation is there. And from the team at Tobago Updates, we want to tell you thank you, even as you decide to move on and do other things with your life.
We have until December.
Right, yeah. But personally, I have heard good things about your representation. I've heard persons expressing a level of maturity, even in that separation that took place within the party where you were moved from one division to another. I've heard persons saying, wow, that was mature for him not to say anything negative about that, even though some persons would have seen it as being a demotion.
Yes, well, it is. It
right?
is. Yes.
And you had nothing negative to say about it in the public domain, so that reflected a certain level of maturity on your side. So again, you have put yourself forward, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
And is there anything you want to say to the people before we leave off this morning?
Well, just to say that we are determined to get to this greatest little island on the planet, you know. We are determined, and I will continue to give 100 with the time that is allotted to me, and so on. We have no control over tomorrow. We trust God to help us. So while I express the sentiments of what my intention is at the end of the time, I want to be very clear that this does not mean that you're going to get any kind of mediocre service from me. My commitment remains the same. I am resolute to give the kind of representation to the district and also the support at the division that I now serve.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Baines. Sorry, for agreeing to sit down in the beneath the surface seat. This morning's conversation, I think, really expanded our perspective about your life, especially navigating as a politician and a pastor. And we do wish you the best with all your future endeavors. And like Chanel said, thank you for, offering yourself to serve in public office. Chanel, well, who can we expect tomorrow? Is it going to be Megan Morrison? I think we've been expecting her.
I don't think we are going to see Megan actually, you know, throughout this series. I'm not sure, but I did not hear that we are going to see Megan Morrison.
Okay, I would have really loved to have an interview with her, seeing that she is my era representative.
I would have liked to see Megan as well. I see her around a lot. So
you're supposed to say no pressure there. You're supposed to put in no pressure there. Just no pressure.
Is there pressure?
You're just asking simple questions about your life.
I would have liked to sit with her, so I don't see why we.
But regardless, Chanel, I think the surface series has been a very good one. It's like every time we do our next interview, just learning more and more about the life of politics, and more importantly, how politicians navigate through that life of politics.
Right, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, we might see Councillor Orlando Kerr tomorrow. And I mean, word on the curb is he might be one of the representatives that we see within the next THA election. So I'm excited to ask those questions.
We're going to ask the questions tomorrow.
We're going to ask the questions. We are going to ask those questions.
All right, so viewers, thank you for joining us. Thank you for always choosing Tobago Updates to start your morning on the right note. So tune in tomorrow, because we will be continuing the Beneath the Surface series right here on Tobago Updates. So viewers, thank you once again. You will have a blessed and productive day. Just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Thank you.
Tobago Updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise.